Hi there, Mr. Muhammed is here. Hi there, Mr. Muhammed is here. This is Oxford Complete Mathematics for IGCSEs, and we're going to solve some IGCSE past questions. The questions are related to geometry, like trigonometric, scale drawing, and bearing. These topics are very important in IGCSE papers. Now, question 1, which is the simplest here. Question 1, a shop has a wheelchair ramp to its entrance from the pavement. The ramp is 3.17 meters long. This is the diagram. This angle is 5 degrees. The hypotenuse is 3.17. This angle is 90 degrees. So simply I can use cosine because the question wants me to find the height, which is h. According to this angle, this side is opposite, so I have to use sine. Okay, sine of 5 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite it is h, is not given, and hypotenuse is 3.17. Now, to calculate sine of 5, see, sine of 5 is equal to 0.871, and h over 3.17 is equal to the same result. Now, to get rid of this 3.17, we need to multiply sine of 5 by 3.17. Sine of 5 is this times 3.17. It gives the height, which is 0.276. 0.276, it's nearly 28 centimeters. The height is nearly 28 centimeters. To show all the work, you just complete the calculation here. 3.17 times sine of 5 is equal to the height. After we calculate this, 3.17 times 0.087, then it gives 0.276. So it's nearly, this is in meters, 0.276 meters, it's nearly 28 centimeters. H is nearly 28 centimeters. Question 1 done. Question 2. Question 2 is a tricky question. Pay a really good attention to this one. The diagram is given here. PB is 250 meters. This angle is 23 degrees. This angle is 126. Now, we need to calculate the length of the road AB. We need to find this length, AB. Then, what can help us? As you see, we know this angle, and its opposite side is missing. This angle is given with its opposite side. So, we can use sine rule because sine rule is easier than cosine rule, and sine rule is applicable here. So side is missing, so the side goes on top, AB over sine of the opposite angle. AB over sine of 23 is equal to 250 because it's given this length over sine of 126. Now, to get the missing side, we need to multiply this 250 by sine of 23 to get rid of this number in the denominator. So the length of AB is equal to 250 times sine of 23 over sine of 126. Now let's use calculator to calculate this. it's better to use the fraction command. 250 times sine of 23, and in the denominator we have sine of 126. Close the bracket. So this is the length of AB. It's 120.74. It's 120.74 meters. We got the length of AB, 120.74. 120.74 meters because the others are in meters. Part A, done. Part B, find the bearing of A from P is 303. Means this bearing from the north of P all the way to A, this bearing is 303 degrees. Then part B, find the bearing of B from P. Bearing of B from P is this, from the north of P all the way to the line that goes to B from P. Now, as you see, the difference between the green line and the red line is only this angle, which is 23 degrees. The difference is only this angle, which is 23 degrees. Then if we subtract 23 from this 303, we will get the bearing of B from P. So part BI is 303 minus 23, which is equal to 280 degrees. Part BI, the bearing from B, the bearing of B from P, we can just get it by subtracting 23 from 303, which is equal to 280 degrees. Now, we need to find the bearing of A from B. The bearing of A from B, this part is the most important one. Okay, the bearing of A from B, it means this angle. From the north of B to this line that goes to A from B. We need to find this angle. Then there is a relation between the bearing of points. The relation is like this. Look, this angle, it's the bearing of, it's not the bearing of A to B. No, bearing is clockwise, but this angle, which is opposite this angle, which is this one is bearing, these two angles together, they always add up to 180. These two angles together, they add up to 180. Keep in mind this one. So can we apply this relation here? Of course we can. Look at this green curve, it's 303 degrees. If we complete it, it will be 360 degrees because it will be one round. Then this is 303. How much more we need to complete 360? We need 57 more degrees. So it means this angle is 57, and this angle here from the A, this angle completes 180 with 57. Then 57 plus which number will be 180? Or simply 180 minus 57 is 123 degrees. So this angle is 123 degrees. Why I need this? Because this angle with this one, these two angles together, they will help me to find this missing angle here, and this missing angle helps me to find this bearing because this angle with the bearing, they add up to 180. Now I have 123 plus 126 and an angle is missing that all of them together they complete 360. Then simply you can say 360 minus 126 minus 123, it's equal to 111 degrees. This angle is 111. So how much more we need to complete 180? So definitely this angle is 69 degrees, because 180 minus 111 is 69 degrees. So I got the bearing of A from B, which is 69 degrees. Question 3. A plane flies from point A to G on a bearing of 115, and the diagram is right here. Okay, what should we find? Calculate the bearing of the Wellington from Gisborne. So we need this angle. From Gisborne means this angle. We need to find this angle. Then how can we find it? Again, we need the relation between the bearings. This angle is 115 degrees. So this angle here, it must be something that completes 180 with 115. Then 180 minus 115 is equal to 65 degrees. This angle here is 65. So far, it's good. Now, I need to find this angle here. Because if I find this angle, and here this side is a straight line, this side until here it's 180 degrees. So I need to calculate this angle, add it to the 180 to get the yellow curve from the north of G to this line that goes to W. Now these two angles, they help me to find this missing here, because all of these three angles together, they add up to 180. Then 180 minus 65 minus 63, what's remaining is 52 degrees. It means this gap here, this is 52 degrees. Then this side is 180 plus 52, which is 232 degrees. So the bearing of W from G is 232 degrees. The distance from Wellington to Gisborne is 400 kilometers. The distance from Auckland to Wellington is 410 kilometers. These are given in the diagram. Calculate the bearing of Wellington from Auckland here. This time we need to calculate this from the north of A clockwise all the way to the line that goes to W. We know this piece, it's 115 degrees. Now we need to find this angle. What can help us to find this angle? What we know here, we know this angle with its opposite. We need this angle and its opposite is given. So it's the perfect time to use sine rule to get this missing angle. Here. Okay, this angle is A. So we can say an angle is missing. So sine of A over 400 is equal to sine of 63 over 410. It is sine rule. Now we need to get rid of this 400, and sine of A is equal to 400 times sine of 63 all over 410. Now let's calculate this. It's fraction. Okay, 400 times sine of 63 all over 410. This is the result. Sine of A is equal to 0.869. It's nearly 0.87. Sine of A is 0.87, nearly. How can we get A? We need sine inverse. Then sine inverse of 0.87, Sine inverse of the answer of the previous step is 60.37, so it's nearly 60.4 because the 7 is a big number. So angle A is 60.4 degrees. Got it. If we round it to the nearest whole number, it's just 60. Now this missing angle, we found it is 60.4. And we know this part. Now add these two angles together, it will be the bearing of W from A. Now 60.4 plus 115 that was given before, together they add up to 175.4. So the bearing of W from A is 175.4. Done. Question 4. In triangle PQR, okay, the side is 10, the side is 14. The area of the triangle is 48 centimeters square. Calculate angle PQR and show that it rounds to 43.3, correct to 1 decimal place. You must show all your work, calculate the length of the side QR. Now, we don't know any of the angles, but we know the only clue here is the area of the triangle is 48 centimeters square. Then how can we get benefit from this area to find the other side? So let's go back to basics of area of triangle. Area of triangle is BH over 2. We can consider any of these two sides as the base and the edge is not given. So this rule for this situation here, it doesn't help. But there's another rule to find the area of triangle. The rule is like this: 1 over 2 AB sine of C. 1 over 2 AB sine of C. So in this triangle, we can say 1 over 2, 10, 1 over 2 times 10 times 14. Because we used the side, so we will have sine of P. Sine of P. If you look at the rule, we use A small, which is opposite angle A. We use B small, which is opposite angle B. Then sine of C. The sine of the angle which its opposite is not used so far. So the same thing applies here. 1 over 2 times 10 times 14 times sine of P. But what's given in the question, the final result of the area must be 48. Now this will help. 1 over 2 times 10 is equal to 5. 5 times 14 is equal to 70. Sine of P is equal to 48. Now we want to get rid of this 70. Then sine of P is equal to 48 over 70. Now 48 divided by 70. 48 divided by 70 is equal to 0.68571. It's repeating over and over. Then this is the result of the division. But we don't need this. We need sine inverse of this to give us angle P. Then sine inverse of the previous result is 43.29, nearly it's 43.3, as the question says. Angle P is 43.29. If we round it correct to 1 decimal place, then 43.29. If we round it to 1 dB, 1 decimal place, it will be 43.3. This part done. Part B, calculate the length of the side QR. Now we know two sides with the angle between them, so we can follow the cosine rule to find the third missing side. To find this, we're going to use cosine rule. QR is the missing side, then QR, the length of QR square, is equal to the other two sides that are 10 square plus 14 square minus 2 times 10 times 14 times cosine of 43.3. This is cosine rule. When you know two sides in a triangle, we know two sides with the angle between them, so we can use cosine rule. And that's how it works. The missing side square is equal to the other two sides minus 2 times the other two sides times cosine of the angle between them. Now let's calculate the side in a calculator. 10 square plus 14 square minus bracket 2 times 10 times 14 times cosine of 43.3. Okay, this is equal to 92.223, but this one is the square of QR. What we need is just QR without this power 2. It means we need to take a square root of the answer. That gives 9.6. So QR is 9.6. These are all in centimeters. This one is also in centimeters. QR is 9.6 centimeters. This question finished. And these 4 questions are very interesting, very important. There are many good ideas in them. So feel free to ask any question. Comment below your question, including the time when some concepts are not clear for you. That will help me to find out your problem in the lowest amount of time. Question 5. Here is a diagram. Let's see, what should we do? The bearing of S from P is 30 degrees. PS is 7 kilometers. Write down the size of angle SPR. SPR. We need to find this angle. Then this angle is missing. What can help us to get this? Well, this north is for P, so it must make a 90-degree angle with P. There must be a 90-degree angle here. We know this much is 30. What's remaining is 60 degrees. So we got the missing angle SPR. It is 60 degrees. Let's go back to the question again. Calculate the length of RS. RS is manageable now because we have two sides with the angle between them. We can use cosine rule to find RS. Then RS square is equal to the other two sides, 7 square plus 15 square minus 2 times 7 times 15 times cosine of 60. Now let's calculate this. This will be rs squared. 7 squared plus 15 squared minus brackets 2 times 7 times 15, then times cosine of 60. It's equal to 169. Then this 169 is rs squared, but we need rs without square. It means we must take a square root. 169, and obviously the square root of 169 is 13, so rs is 13 kilometers, as the others are in kilometers. rs is 13 kilometers. And this one was 60 degrees. Part B. Angle RPQ is 55 degrees. QR is 14 centimeters. Write down the bearing of Q from P. The bearing of Q from P. The bearing of Q from P, it's obvious. The bearing from P to Q, or the bearing of Q from P, is this angle. This angle is in 3 pieces. If we just add them together, we get the bearing. 30 plus 60 is 90, plus 55, it's 145. So the bearing of Q from P is 145 degrees. Calculate the acute angle PQR. This acute angle PQR, this angle. We have to calculate this angle. Okay, then to calculate this angle, we don't have two sides with the angle between them. Two sides with the angle between them. So we have to think of sine rule, because we have an angle with its opposite. An angle is missing, but its opposite is given. Then sine rule takes place to find this missing angle. Sine rule works like this. Since angle is missing, we can write the sine on the top. Sine of Q over 15 is equal to sine of 55 over 14. Then we need to get rid of this 15. Then sine of Q is equal to 15 times sine of 55 all over 14. Now let's calculate. 15 times sine of 55 is equal to this. Then the result divide by 14. It's equal to 0.877. But we don't need this. We need sine inverse of this decimal number to get angle Q. Then sine inverse of the answer is 61.36. It's 61.4 nearly. So angle Q is 61.4. 61.4 degrees. Calculate the length PQ. This angle is 61.4. degrees. And here it is, right? Q is 61.4. Complete the calculation. Now we need to find PQ. The side is missing. Can we use sine rule again? No. Actually, yes. We know two angles in this triangle. We can find the third angle. Or we can use cosine rule because one side is missing, but the other two sides are no. Cut. Start. Now to find PQ, again we can use sine rule. As you see, we know two angles in this triangle PQR, so easily we can get the third angle, and the third angle is just the opposite of this missing side. That will help us to find this length. Now to find the missing angle in this triangle, 180 minus 61.4, then minus 55, it's equal to 63.6. This angle is 63.6. Now this angle helps us to find this missing side as it's the opposite of it. Let's use these two angles with these two opposites. We can use these, no problem, but let's use this too. Here, side is missing. We're going to keep the sides on the top to make the calculation easier. 15 over sine of 61.4 is equal to this missing side, which is PQ. PQ over sine of 63.6. Now to calculate PQ, we need to get rid of this sine of 63.6. Then it must be multiplied by the 15. Sine of 15 times sine of 63.6 over sine of 61.4. This is the result of PQ, the length of PQ. Then to calculate this side, I recommend to use the fraction command whenever you see fraction form. 15 times sine of 63.6 over sine of 61.4. So this is 15.3 centimeters. Side PQ is 15.3 centimeters. Calculate the area of the forest correct to the nearest square kilometer. Now we need to calculate the area of the whole quadrilateral. Then to do this, we calculate the area of each triangle separately and then we add them up. Now to calculate the area of triangle, the basic is HB over 2, means base times height divided by 2. But here, for neither of the triangles, the height is not given, and we don't want to spend time to find the height. We use another rule, which is like this. We're going to use sine of an angle with the two sides around it, just like this. Area of this triangle is 1 over 2 AB sine of C, 1 over 2 times 7 times 15 times sine of 60. And the area of this triangle is 1 over 2. This side was 15.3. 1 over 2 times 15.3 times 15 times sine of 55. So these two calculations will give us the area of each triangle, and then we add them up together to get the total area of the quadrilateral. Now let's calculate. 1 over 2, which is 0.5, or just write it as 1 over 2. 1 over 2 times 7 times 15 times sine of 60. is equal to 45.46. Let's write it. 45.46. The question says to the nearest kilometer. After we calculated the other one, for the final, we round it to the nearest whole number. Now here 1 over 2 times 15.3 times 15 times sine of 55. So this is equal to 93.99. Now let's add these two numbers together. 93.99 plus 45.46 is equal to 139.45. To the nearest kilometer, it will be 139 kilometers. The area of the quadrilateral is 139 kilometer square. So I hope you find it useful. Thank you for watching.